Well, hi there. We're racing on the Standside track at Turffontein on Saturday, the 10th of August. We have a 9-race program. The first of the 9 races, a maiden plate for 3-year-old fillies over 1,000 metres, goes off at 12:25. We're joined on the line by Alistair Cohen. Alistair, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, Graham. And a 9-race card at Turffontein to look forward to on the back of the rugby. Hopefully the Springboks get up, and hopefully those good tidings continue through the Turffontein card on this Saturday. I find it a little bit of an easier card than what we saw on Thursday at the Vaal, although we weren't too far away from getting that right. But sadly, one loser means that we are losers. But yeah, I'm hoping to get back on track at this Turffontein card, and I think we will. For this time of year, it's not a bad card at all. There's a little bit of class to go around.
Absolutely, and just as interesting in the opening race, money for 2 first-timers, which is interesting. So the first-timers might dominate the outcome of race 1, which, as I mentioned, is a maiden plate for 3-year-old fillies over 1,000 metres. Number 3, Bakwena, tops the boards at 14-10. Keegan DeMello riding for Johan Janse van Vuren. But there's also money around for the One World filly, number 7, Ono no Kamachi. Gavin Larina rides for Roy Magnus. So at this point in time, we record the morning before race day. Bakwena's at 14-10. Ono no Kamachi, which was priced up closer to 4-1, is now into 2-1, which has meant that number 5, Lady of Arc, who showed some potential on debut, has drifted out from 18-10 to 5-2. So is a first-timer going to win the opener?
I think they will, Graham. I've heard a good word about both of them. I've been in Joburg for a couple of days and got around to chat to a few people. Bakwena, which is something to do with a crocodile, according to the owner. Keegan DeMello takes a ride, drawn towards the outside. It's probably the right place to be, down the straight on the Turffontein Standside track. Even though it's a small field, you probably say it's all relative in a field of this size. And number 7, Ono no Kamachi, also the strong whispers coming from those around Roy Magnus stable. If I had to have a look at how they bred and who would probably be better set up for first time out and one horse to probably take for the future, I'd probably say that Bakwena, being by giving me the green light out of a very quick mare, Divine Right, I don't think she got a step past 1,400 metres, would probably appeal to me more as a horse that could get the job done first time out, as opposed to, although we're sort of stabbing in the dark with One World 3-year-olds, we all know his record as a 2-year-old stallion, but they're still, tiptoeing around the 3-year-olds just for now. But I'd say Ono no Kamachi, probably more of a long-term prospect going forward, and wouldn't scream 1,000-metre winner first time out. So if you ask me which one, I'd go 3 from 7, but I believe that both are expected to go very well.
Well, of course, being a 9-race program, the opener does not form part of any of the exotics, but race 2 certainly does. It's a maiden plate for 3-year-olds over 1,000 metres. Opening leg of the bipod, due off at 1 o'clock. Small field, we've had 1 early scratching. Number 7, Ignite the Light, is out. Have a look at the anti-post market. Number 1, Quagga Blitz, is at 5-1. Number 2, Potberry, 11-2. Number 3, Bus Stop in Hounslow, is at 6-1. The market leaders are number 5, Inspector James, at 22-10, off the back of a decent debut behind Secret Chord, who also went on to win again after that. And money around for number 6, Karate Kid, from the Paul Matchett stable. As I mentioned, number 7, Ignite the Light, is a scratching. And number 3, Rawalpindi, will race without the tongue tie. Karate Kid and Inspector James, they're expected to step forward from their respective debuts.
Ordinarily, my knee-jerk reaction here would be to number 6, Karate Kid. Look, both of them put up sparkling debuts. Both of them just scream like horses that are ready to win. Karate Kid, to me, made a little bit more appeal of first time out in the way that he stuck with Taxi to the Moon, who was a very short price favourite. He ran with a lot of credits on debut, and it looks like he'll step up with the run under the belt. But what I put a question mark against is him dropping to 1,000 metres. Mother was trained by Roy Magnus. She was good. She was well performed. She won many races at Kinematic Contest. I think she got a little bit of black type as well. Whereas Inspector James showed, a little bit more awareness first time out, and probably looks more adept to win a race over 1,000 metres just to the eye. And as you mentioned, Secret Chord came out and won again from that form run. So that's working out nicely. I think the Taxi to the Moon form will work out well too. So Yeah, to the eye, ordinarily I'd be in the camp of number 6, Karate Kid, but the drop in distance just makes me think a little bit. And I think that gives number 5, Inspector James, a good chance here. For me, in the bipot, one or the other, you can bank a one or the other. Probably boxed exacts is the way to go. You're not going to get rich that way, but the point is I don't see much troubling them. In a corner, I'd go 5 from 6, but I'm a little bit uneasy about the way that I've read that. It's just the trip over 1,000 metres that swayed me into the camp of number 5, Inspector James.
Inspector James, the second choice in the market at this stage at 22-10. Karate Kid, top of the boards at 15-10, but they do appear to dominate that small field. We move on to the first leg of the place accumulator. It's a maiden plate over 1,600 metres. It's due up at 13.35. There are no changes at the time of recording. Let's have a look at the betting. Number 1, High Q, is at 7-1. Number 6, Zafar, 11-2. The firm first choice in the market is number 8, Confederate, at 12-10, off the back of running second to Press On Regardless on debut. But a strong market rival is number 9, Towers of Gold, who's finished third in both starts to date, a 3-year-old son of Gimme the Green Light. A small field of 9, 1,600 metres. We're on the stand side track. First leg of the place accumulator. Take us through the race, Alistair.
I've gone 8 and 9 on the place accumulator, Graham. That is my suggested bet, the PA. I was very close to bankering number 8, Confederate, but the reason why I've backed up with number 9, Towers of Gold, is because I think that these are two among quite a few potential improvers in this race. I think High Q will maintain his recent turnaround in form behind Grand Crescendo, Notable, and Orange County. Two of those 3 horses are held in high regard in Grand Crescendo and Orange County. I think Heroic Act is going to continue to improve, and likewise number 6, Zafar. Will they win the race? I don't know, but I think there's a potential for one of these two market rivals to miss out in the top 3. So for that reason, I've just cast my nets a little bit wider, and if we do double up, I wouldn't complain. I don't know how the form of the Press On Regardless race is going to work out, to be honest. Confederate, I think, found a sharp burst of acceleration down the straight of the Vaal, steps up a furlong here, which shouldn't harm his chances, but found a sharp burst of acceleration and didn't really go on with it. So that's a little bit of a lingering doubt, but he should come on with a run under the belt. And then number 9, Towers of Gold, that's a minor break. 62 days off for me isn't much of a break. Raymond Danielson finished the season very well. He started the season very well. He rides for Paul Matchett. And his 2 runs were good, but again, the form lines have been a little bit underwhelming for me, Graham. So despite them being at the top of the boards and having, a natural improvement to come, more improvement to come than the other horses I expect to improve, I still think they have their vulnerability. So in the PA, I'm hoping that we double up, but there's the potential that one of them miss. I'd be very wary bankering one or the other.
So there we go. That's the first leg of the place accumulator. Now it's pick 6 time at 2:10. It's a maiden plate, fillies and mares over 1,600 metres. Number 1, City Lights, opened even money, but has shifted out marginally to 12-10. Number 2, Pass the Baton, just to note that will race with the Alamites. A full set of Alamites goes on number 2, Pass the Baton. Number 3, Silky Jet, is at 5-1. 4, Silver Flare, 3-1. 8, Fetching Flyer is at 6-1. 9 race field, headed by number 1, City Lights. Has been struggling for a long time to shed its maiden ticket. It's going for its 20th outing. 0 wins, obviously, in a maiden plate, but 4 seconds, 4 thirds, and 2 fourths. And the recent form is nothing but, if not consistent, in this sort of class, Alistair.
Graham, I've left her out of my place accumulator, which I wouldn't do in the pick 6 because she's going to get her day one of these days. But I think there are a couple of improvers here. I've been a little bit abstract in my reading of this race, and I'll tell you exactly why. Number 4, Silver Flare's first run in Joburg, which I think she needed. I remember her from Cape Town. Her runs in Cape Town were poor, let's be honest. But by Silvano, and just looking at her, she just looked like she was going to develop a little bit later, and maybe she is developing now. She goes a trip in Joburg for the first time that I think should suit her. I think she'll improve with that last run under the belt, and the trainer and jockey had a winner obviously at the Vaal on Thursday, and they do pop up in races like this. So I think number 4, Silver Flare, is probably underappreciated by the market on the evidence of what I saw last time. But the horse that I'm going to take a bit of a stab at from an each way perspective is number 8, Fetching Flyer, the Dorch much of the United States, who also goes a mile for the first time out of the Silvano mare. Muzi Yeni rides for Paul Match. That could mean business. Now, I have a very strong theory about the Corrupt form from last time. I think Corrupt beats a weak field, and I think the only reason why he won is because he's above average. But I think there were a few horses in behind that might just turn the corner, just looking at it closely, and one of those could be number 8, Fetching Flyer. So I just think the fact that she's untapped, unexposed, whereas the favourite number 1, City Lights, well and truly is. Suppose you can make a case for number 2, Past the Baton as well. I just think that the untapped potential that number 8, Fetching Flyer might bring into the picture here with Muzi on board and trying this trip for the first time could be an avenue to explore. I don't know if I'd have a win bet on her. If there was a little bit of money around for her, I might change my mind. If she went down to the start very well, I might change my mind. But as it stands at the time of recording, I'd be prepared to have a nice little each-way bet on race 4, number 8, Fetching Flyer. I think she's very much alive in this shallow maiden.
So there we go, the 4th race, described by Alistair as a shallow maiden, number 8, Fetching Flyer. Watch the market moves, watch how she goes down to the start. She could be an appealing each-way bet. Obviously, City Lights brings the form into the race, and as you heard from Alistair, while he's brassed her in the place accumulator, you certainly can't do that in the opening leg of the pick 6. Race 5 is the first leg of Jackpot 1. It's a novice handicap, 1,800 metres. And here we go. Number 1, Strewn Sky, is at 15 to 10. There's been a bit of early money around for Stuart Pettigrew's charge. Number 2, Mount Darwin, was priced up 33 to 10. Is now into 5 to 2. Number 3, Copper Mist, is at 4 to 1. 5, Fushimi Inari, is at 8 to 1. The only 7 runners now that remain following the scratching of number 4, Kudzu. So here we go with Jackpot, first leg of Jackpot 1 and novice handicap. So obviously all one-time winners. Do you agree with the market?
Yes, I do, because I've narrowed it down to those 3 horses, but I haven't been brave in this race at all, because in the PA I've gone all 3. In the pick 6, I'd probably go with all 3 as well. But just hear me out. I think both numbers 1 and 2 were potentially unlucky last time, but for different reasons. I think Strewn Sky was unlucky not to win, and I think Mount Darwin was unlucky not to finish a little bit closer. And I think both of those runs will set them up nicely for the Saturday meeting. Strewn Sky's well and truly turned the corner since trying the extra distance. Was kept to the sprint and the middle distance for a while. Looked, to be fair, quite average. In fact, beating Taxhaven in the maiden is hardly anything to get excited about. But since then, he's done okay. His third to the brief probably set him up on the right direction. And like I said last time, I thought he was unlucky. The deep draw did him no favours. It looked like a messy finish with horses running all over the place. Strewn Sky was one of those. I think that he's getting better. I think he's getting wiser, and I think all that stands him in good stead going forward. Number 2, Mount Darwin, I know is probably a little bit of an underachiever, but I know expectations high for him this season. When I say high, I think that, you know, off an 85 and a one-time winner, I think in 12 months' time he'll probably be a little higher than an 85 and more decorated than a one-time winner. Like I said, he got caught in no man's land last time down the straight of the Vaal. He probably didn't adapt to that, but he still stayed on quite nicely behind Thani Player, and I think he'll be more at home over an extra furlong and around the turn. And I've always had time for this horse, number 3, Copper Mist, Graham. He's also holding form nicely. I expected a little bit more from him last time behind Majestic Palace, truth be told, but he's not a horse that I'm going to write off anytime soon either. I think that he's, you know, also probably a little bit of an underachiever, number 3, Copper Mist, but I think with a little bit of confidence whenever that might come, he could be a horse that's potentially in the right place now from the handicapper of an 82. He might need a trim of a pound or 2, but I think that he could win a couple of races soon, and if it does happen on the Saturday card, I'd want to be on the right side of him. So 1, 2 and 3, my numbers across the boards and all exotics.
Now races 6 and 7, 2 nice Pinnacle plates. So we'll kick off with race 7, the Pinnacle Stakes over 1,800 metres, which is also the first leg of Jackpot 2, and it goes at 15.20. Plenty of money around for number 1, Meridius. Shortened in from 9 to 10 into 15 to 20. So very sharp in the market is number 1, Meridius. Number 2, Street Art, is at 15 to 2. Number 3, Good Counsel, 6 to 1. 5, Pyromaniac, is at 7 to 2. Only 6 carded, and very clearly the best weighted column has got Meridius and Savannah Storm joint at the top of the best weighted column, but Savannah Storm is struggling for form at the moment, whereas Meridius, if one forgives him his indifferent run in the Hollywoodbets Durbanville July. Prior to that, he won the Jubilee over this track and trip, grade 3. So does that set him up as the natural selection for race number 6?
Yeah, I'm not going to overcomplicate this, Graham. I think he's a banker in all bets. He's got draw one. He's back to the same track and trip that he won the Jubilee Stakes over. For me, he was just never a Hollywoodbets Durban July chance. He had to get in after his win in the Jubilee, but he just was never good enough to trouble those big guns. And I also not convinced that he got home over 2,200 meters either. This was just his happy place. When you look at a horse like Good Counsel, he's better over further. I've washed my hands of Pyromaniac a long time ago, and 688 days later, we're still waiting. Flashy Apache looks to have lost his way. Street Arts, his last few runs leave a bit to be desired. I think the Peters would be surprised if Street Art finished in front of Meridius. So I'm defaulting to number one Meridius as probably the best bet on the day. But Savannah Storm keeps me interested for places. I know it's a 6-horse field, but maybe work around swingers and exactors with number 4 Savannah Storm. He does overachieve when he's least expected to. Nathan Klink takes it out for Philip Vermeulen. He fluffed his lines of late. I don't expect him to beat Meridius, but I think he can be in the top 3. So just work around those bets that cater for that.
Well, certainly Savannah Storm quite well handicapped in this Pinnacle Stakes, as the best weighted column would suggest, top of the best weighted column with number 1 Meridius, but all the current form points to number 1 Meridius, and as described by Alistair Cohn, could be the best bet on the card. But a somewhat more competitive Pinnacle Stakes is race 7, the first leg of the final pick 3, which goes at 15.55, 1,160 metres. Number 1 Rulership is at 3-1. Number 3, Captain Hindsight at 33-10, and both bring solid form into the race. Number 6, Troppo Veloci is at 5-1, and number 8, Silent War is at 13-2. And just to make mention of the fact that Apprentice Nastilli only has 1 ride at the meeting, and he's now ridden 20 winners, so he only claims 2,5 and not as sprinted. He rides number 10, Helbert. This is a nice race, Alistair.
Yeah, it's a tricky race, but for all the right reasons, Graham, and I must be honest, I'm battling to figure out where to go. The key is obviously held by Tony Peter, who's got 4 runners in the race, but which one is the right one? I've gone 1, 3, and 6 in my place accumulator, and I'm just hoping that one of those lands into the top 3, because you can make a case for so many of these, especially those with light weights. I mean, a horse like Silent War seems to have turned the corner. But anyway, let's go through those 3 horses that I like. Number 1, Rulership. If this was 1,000 meters, I'd bank him in the place accumulator, but I'm skeptical about him over 1160. He's always been a speedball. Even with Mike Miller, he was one of those very early 2-year-old types, and he's maintained his form. He's done well as Rulership. He might be on weary legs over the final 100 meters, but he's definitely good enough to win this if the fast track just kind of, it's almost like a treadmill to get him home. 3, Captain Hindsight's done 1 distance, arriving at Tony Peter, an 11-time winner. You would never have thought. I think he got to Tony Peter with a rating of 80. He took the big scalp of Rulership last time over Rulership's more happy place of 1,000 meters. So outside draw as well. Chase Morjan, his best mate, gets the ride. There's every reason to believe that number 3, Captain Hindsight's a live runner. And number 6, Troppo Veloci, I think, is very interesting as well. Serena Woodley rides for Sean Terry. Was beaten by my horse Exchange Student last time out. And to be fair, Troppo Veloci, and just until the final few strides, looked like she had Exchange Student's number. I think the lightweight will help this filly go well. She's the best weighted horse in the race according to the handicapper in the best weighted column, and I'd like to believe that she just didn't like Hollywoodbets Greyville. I'm not too sure she goes around the turn all that well. She'll also have a question mark about whether she's better over 1,000 meters or approaching 1,200 meters. I agree, but I think she's in the race of a lightweight, and I think we'll learn a lot more about number 6 Troppo Veloci and the potential path that she takes when the grass goes green in Joburg. So 1, 3, and 6 my numbers. Anfield's Rocket would go into my pick 6 just because he always does. There's no rhyme or reason for that, because there's no rhyme or reason for his inconsistency. And then, like I said, the bottom weights also need to be considered for pick 6 purposes.
Quantum Theory, would you throw that into your pick 6?
Absolutely, yes, definitely.
And Silent War. So there we go. It's a trappy race, and the best weighted column suggests that. There's a lot of form to go around. And Rulership, there is a question mark about him getting home over 1,160 metres. One would think that perhaps Captain Hindsight over this trap, having beaten him over 5 furlongs the last time out, Captain Hindsight would have his measure. But of course, races are run on turf and not on paper, and it all adds up to a very competitive Pinnacle Stakes. Race 8, the first leg of the final double, is an MR91 handicap over 1,400 metres. Number 1, Warhawk Bomber, is at 11-2. Number 3, Brave Viking, is at 5-1. 5, Max the Magician, at 7-2, along with number 6, Open Highway, at 7-2. and 7 Bob's Your Uncle is at 28-10. Now, handicaps are meant to be competitive. This is no exception. It's over 1,400 metres. Take it away, Alistair.
Number 2, House of Romanov, not in the market, Graham.
10-1.
I've banked him in the place accumulator. I like him a lot. I can't tell you how much I like this horse. Raymond Danielson takes her out for Tony Peter, which is a bit of an unlikely combination. But hear me out. As an early 3-year-old, this horse was beating Silver Sanctuary, who went on to place throughout the Volkerbos Triple Tiara and then won the Will Avington 2000 Grade 1 level at Hollywoodbets Greyville on Daily Newsday. He lost his way. He was the sacrificial lamb, unfortunately, in the first leg of the Triple Crown when he sent out as the pacemaker for main defender, or was it the other one? William Ironarm, I think it was actually. Sent up as the pacemaker there. Went into a progress plate the next time. We had absolutely no right to be there and ran accordingly. He came back in a middle stakes. Now he's in a handicap for the first time in a long time, dusting off the cobwebs last time on the back of a rating drop. If this horse comes back to his 3-year-old career, it's absolutely no race. And I'd like to say that there are hints that he could come back to his 3-year-old career. I'm making a very strong case for him, and I think that he'll win, to be honest. Brave Viking, I think, is a good horse, but he's lost his way a little bit. He could very easily bounce back. Max the Magician, I was very strong on last time. I was a bit disappointed with that run. I'm excited to see how Open Highway goes. Turffontein, I think he saves his best for the Val. Not to say that he's useless, Turffontein, but when he won at Turffontein, he probably found the right field on that occasion. I'm very strong on this 10-1 shot, number 2, House of Romanov. Total wrong price, and I've banked him, like I said, in the place accumulator, and I think he's very much my top selection here.
And his last run was obviously his first as a gelding, referring to number 2, House of Romanov. He was off the track from the 29th of February earlier this year until July last month, which was his first run as a gelding. So there we go. Interesting top choice for Alistair Cohen. I'm not sure how much longer the 10-1 is going to survive, but he makes a strong case for number 2, House of Romanov in race 8, the MR91 handicap over 1,400 metres. Ninth and final race is an MR80 handicap over 1,400 metres, goes off at 5:05. Number 1, King's Ransom, from the Candace Dawson stable with Gavin Larena aboard, is at 4-1, so we'll get the inside track on King's Ransom. Number 2, Southern Blaze, is at 9-2. 3 Press on Regardless, I'll mention his double figures, recent winner 10-1, 4 Kotinos 8-1, 6 Golden Pavilion 5-1, 7 Moonlight Traders 6-1. Archimedes interests me a little bit, that's at 8-1, and Prince of Kildare is at 8-1. So the betting clearly suggesting that from many points of view, this might just be the most competitive race on the card, Alistair.
I think so too. That's why I've gone 3 horses in my place accumulator, 1, 2, and 3. Starting off with King's Ransom, Gavin Larena was very keen to ride the son of Dan on Platina. His work has been excellent. He stepped up from his last run where he beat Apache Sun from start to finish. Apache Sun obviously won at the Val on Thursday, beating probably a stronger field than this. So bang in the race, couldn't put anyone off. Got to go into the play. 2 Southern Blaze. Consistent horse, probably well placed by Stuart Pettigrew. Trent Mayhew takes 2.5 kilos off the back. The draw for me is no worry because he's going to get hooked up the stalls, dragged back, and left to make a lot of ground. If the pace is on, he'll be dangerous. He's probably a length better at the Val, but he's definitely not without a chance. There's an interesting piece of form that revolves around this horse, actually. When you go back to the 20th of June, Southern Blaze finished in front of Golden Pavilion and well in front of Archimedes. Obviously not Archimedes' best effort. And Southern Blaze does have a reliably positive swing at the weight. So from that point of view, I think Southern Blaze might hold Golden Pavilion and Archimedes simply on the black and white of that run. And number 3, Press on Regardless. I'm hearing good vibes from David Nevenhazen and Marco van Rensburg about the potential of this horse. Came up from Cape Town with fair maiden form. Looked like a win was going to come in Cape Town anyway. Arrived in Joburg, ran second to There's a Lot, took an eternity to win. But I thought his maiden win was fairly impressive to the eye. Life's a little bit harder now, taking on winners of a rating of 81. But he could be a stride or 2 above the handicapper, so I'm not prepared to write off his chances either. Very, very tricky races. You said there's an endless list of opportunities here. Number 9, Prince of Kildare, from an informed yard of Billy Race, is also not completely prayerless either. I must be honest, I was one of those who had a big nibble on him last time from 10-1 to 4-1. I tipped him on the show. We weren't unlucky. Ride On was a winner full of merit. But just for those who like to follow up, number 9, Prince of Kildare, not prayerless either.
So there we go, the ninth and final, clearly one of the more competitive races on the card. But earlier, Alistair made mention of the fact that he suggested bet for this race meeting on the Standside track, Saturday the 10th of August, 9-race program. Place accumulator is his suggested bet. It starts with race 3. Your selections are on screen, Alistair. Take it away.
108 Rand is the perm, and I'm looking to make a lot of ground in the second leg and hoping to double up, especially in race 5, which is the third leg and potentially the last as well. So 8 and 9 Confederates and Towers of Gold, by 4 and 8 Silver Flare and Fetching Flyer, by 1, 2 and 3 Strewn Sky, Mount Darwin and Copper Mist. Banker number 1 Meridius, I'll be blown away if he doesn't win, never mind running the first 3. By 1 Rulership, 3 Captain Hindsight and 6 Troppo Veloce. By a 10 to 1 shot, banker number 2 House of Romanov, that could be a place where we also make a little bit of ground. And then 1, 2 and 3 in the back, King's Ransom, Southern Blaze, and press on regardless.
Well, that's just about a wrap for this preview show. Reminder that we record more than 24 hours ahead of the opening race on race day. So we're recording Friday morning, the 9th of August. So check your card for changes and keep an eye on the markets. Nap of the day, Meridius. You've seen Alistair's place accumulator. Alistair, thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Cheers, Graham. Likewise to you and all the team. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you to Alistair Cohen, and to you, thanks for joining. We'll see you again soon.